Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Financial Investigations Division's press briefing for National Anti-Money Laundering Day. I'm Garth Williams, I'm the moderator for the afternoon, and seated beside me at this table are the FID's Chief Technical Director, Selvin Hay, to his right, our Senior UK Consultant, Gary Dickson, and to his right, the FID's Principal Director, Keith Darien. We will also be receiving messages from Dr. Wayne Robinson, Senior Deputy Governor of the Bank of Jamaica, as well as the Director General of MOCA, the Major Organized Anti-Corruption Agency, Colonel Desmond Edwards. So this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, this press briefing is... Check. My sincerest apologies for the lack of audio just now. Let me repeat. Good afternoon again, and welcome to the Financial Investigations Division's press briefing for Friday, October 29, in observance of National Anti-Money Laundering Day. I'm Garth Williams, the moderator for this afternoon. Seated beside me, to my right, my immediate right, is the FID's Chief Technical Director, Selvin Hay. To his right, our UK consultant, Senior UK Consultant, Gary Dickson, and to his right, the FID's Principal Director, Keith Darien. We'll also be receiving messages from the Director General of MOCA, that's the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, Colonel Desmond Edwards. We'll also be receiving a message from the Senior Deputy Governor of the Bank of Jamaica, Dr. Wayne Robinson. Now, National Anti-Money Laundering Day has been organized by CFATF, that's the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, and the UNODC, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, under the theme, Take Action Against Money Laundering. What we'll be doing here at the FID today is to announce two things. One, our strategies and performance in anti-money laundering over the period 2019 to 2021, as well as we will be announcing a public education campaign dubbed POCA and You, which will run from the middle of November through to the end of February 2022. So, with no further ado, allow me to welcome and introduce Selvin Hay, the Chief Technical Director of the FID.
Thank you, Garth. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for participating in this first digital press conference of the Financial Investigations Division in observance of National Anti-Money Laundering Day 2021 under the theme, Take Action Against Money Laundering. Let me begin by welcoming my colleagues seated here with me. And Garth already introduced the members. I must also extend a warm welcome to the entire FID staff, those on site and those who are joining online. To our colleagues in the Ministry of finance and public service, our counterparts in law enforcement, members of the financial sector, the media, and general public. Thank you all for tuning in. The FID, by virtue of its mandate, plays a vital role in ensuring that money laundering, countering the financing of terrorism, AML, CFT regime for the country is effective. It is our function, among other things, to investigate financial crimes, to include money laundering. With all the work that we've been doing, one thing is evident: money laundering needs to be more broadly tackled. This can be achieved by an intensified application of the Proceeds of Crime Act by the law enforcement agencies which are so empowered and authorized under the Act, namely the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Jamaica Customs Agency, and the FID. I am quite certain that the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, MOCA, will be so designated in short order, as they are deeply involved in such investigations as well. To this end, several strategic activities have been undertaken, as well as policy recommendations made, which should come into effect in a timely manner. One such strategic example is an agreement with the JCF as the country's largest law enforcement entity to address the use of poker. This agreement will result in an increase in the number of JCF investigators being trained, accredited and appointed as financial investigators to conduct more money laundering investigations across the country, incorporating training in the use of poker into the curriculum delivered at the Jamaica Police College, and further strengthening of our long-standing working relationship between the JCF and the FID in several areas. A similar approach will be taken with our counterparts in law enforcement. In fact, as we speak, there's a financial investigation training and accreditation program course, FATF course, that is presently being delivered online, of which members from the agencies mentioned are participants. This program trains and accredits law enforcement officers in the full utilization of investigative tools available under POCA and other laws to fully investigate and prosecute cases of money laundering and other financial crimes. The course equips officers with the knowledge of how to conduct other specialized measures to deprive criminals of their ill-gotten gains. In relation to policies aimed at strengthening the country's AML CFT regime, the Ministry of National Security and the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service are collaborating to build out the capacity to identify and prosecute perpetrators of money laundering and other financial crimes. Further, there is an ongoing process of transitioning the FID from a division to being a department of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. This will increase the level of autonomy and allow the entity to increase its staff complement, which will go a far way in optimizing its operational capacity. Having said this, however, broadening the use of poker is in order to increase the prosecution of money laundering offenses by all relevant stakeholders is key. The results will greatly enhance the well-being of our country. We will be able to see improvement in the following: removing the benefit or profit from crime through asset forfeiture, targeting facilitators who, through their services, allow persons to retain the benefit from crime, protecting the integrity of the country's financial system against abuse and to deter persons from engaging in crime. In closing, Jamaica will continue to strengthen its anti-money laundering, countering and financing of terrorism regime, especially following the successful completion of the submission of our national risk assessment, as well as the completion of other critical action items. The completion of the national risk assessment facilitated the identification of risks, vulnerabilities, and mitigating factors in our financial landscape. Its successful delivery was achieved by key and leading roles played by the Bank of Jamaica, the Financial Services Commission, and the FID. However, there were valuable contributions by several other governmental and non-governmental organizations. In short, it was a worthy exercise which allowed several stakeholders to work together in service to our country. As we move forward, I would like to implore our colleagues and partners to continue in this mode as we strive to solidify the gains already made and to improve in those areas which still require more work. I encourage all of us to make today's theme to become a mantra. Take action against money laundering. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hay. And now we will hear from our senior UK consultant, Gary Dickson, as he puts into context the work of the United Kingdom in our anti-money laundering fight.
Thank you very much, Garth. CTD, Principal Director. It's my pleasure today to have an opportunity to tell everyone a little bit about the UK's involvement with FID and in Jamaica. The UK currently assists a number of entities in Jamaica in relation to its crime and governance efforts. The Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office, or the FCDO, provides this under the umbrella of its Serious Organised Crime and Anti-Corruption Programme. The entities benefiting from this programme include the Financial Investigations Division, FID, the Major Organised Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, MOCA, the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM, the Integrity Commission, and the Ministry of Justice. This assistance is in the form of funding and, where appropriate, technical expertise, and is in the main directed towards tackling corruption and organised crime. Specifically, within the FID, it assists with a structured and robust application of the Proceeds of Crime Act. Also, in relation to money laundering in its other forms and anti-terrorist financing legislation. The journey with FID began in October 2012. As well as funding, FID is provided with technical assistance to strengthen the criminal assets recovery capability of not only the FID itself, but all Jamaican law enforcement agencies, and by extension, prosecutorial authorities, the judiciary, and the magistracy. This current phase of the programme commenced in April 2020 and will be reviewed in March 2023. The financial support to FID for these 3 years is somewhere in the region of £1,715,000 sterling. The technical assistance provided to FID comes from 3 UK consultants, myself included, who are embedded within the organisation. All of us have a strong investigative background and a wealth of experience both in the UK and internationally. They add value both on an operational and strategic level. The role of the technical assistance to FID involves the practical mentoring of persons engaged in the investigation of financial and acquisitive crime, along with those involved in the prosecution of such cases. They also provide training by and exposure to practitioners both within Jamaica and internationally. Officers from FID have undertaken attachments in other jurisdictions, with law enforcement units conducting similar activities, all as part of an effort to expose them to new and different techniques used in combating money laundering and anti-corruption. The funding provided also allows the purchase of equipment, including software, for use by the FID alongside that provided by the government of Jamaica. Since 2016, the technical assistance has been integral to Jamaica's efforts in responding to the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force Mutual Evaluation Report, and more recently, as mentioned by the CTD, the creation and publication in August 2021 of Jamaica's National Risk Assessment. Supported by the UK technical staff and local experts, FID in 2018 designed a bespoke 2-week training course for financial investigators. This is now regularly delivered across all law enforcement agencies in Jamaica. And as the CTD has said, there is currently a course ongoing at this time. It's a 2-week course, and we're just approaching the end of week 1. It's pleasing from our perspective to see that there are students from all law enforcement agencies engaged in this training. This training, coupled with a targeted outreach program, has led to an increase in the use of POCA across these organizations and resulted in increased forfeiture of criminal assets. The program also involves the identification of and suggested remedy to legislative deficiencies that are exposed. This allows more effective sanction against those who profit from crime. By increasing the capability of Jamaica to deal with such crime effectively, the FID element of the Serious Organised Crime and Anti-Corruption Programme aims to assist Jamaica create social stability, economic growth and trust in public institutions. Whilst the programme is principally designed to tackle acquisitive crime and money laundering and corruption, no programme operating in this space can ignore the financing of terrorism, and no jurisdiction, whilst on the surface low risk, can be considered immune from it. The use of financial investigative techniques and analysis of financial data and the lead development opportunities intelligence offers is pivotal to Jamaica being able to address money laundering both here in Jamaica and also to meet the international standards demanded by bodies such as the United Nations and the Financial Action Task Force. It's been my pleasure to highlight some of the work being undertaken by the UK in conjunction with the FID. I'd like to extend a warm thank you to FID for accommodating myself and others personally over the years, and I welcome everybody to today, National Anti-Money Laundering Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gary, for putting into context the work done by the UK to support Jamaica's anti-money laundering and generally crime-fighting regimes. We're seeing benefits and we're happy for that. I understand that there are some of you who are experiencing volume problems. We sincerely apologize. We've been working at it. Our technical team has solved the problem now, so you'll be able to hear in full volume the remaining presentations. The first of which will now come from our principal director, the FID's principal director. He is Keith Darien.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good afternoon, CTD, Garth Dickson. Thank you for joining us for this live press conference today, which is being recognized as National Anti-Money Laundering Day, a very important initiative and something that we should all buy into to ensure that this serious crime that can impact the integrity and stability of the financial sector is adequately investigated and controlled. This afternoon, I'll be providing a quick synopsis of the successes and the performance of the organization in combating this very serious crime. Now, in spite of the limitations caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, FID's multidisciplinary team of forensic examiners, legal officers, financial analysts and police officers continue to pursue persons engaged in financial crimes. The team has utilized the far-reaching provisions of the Proceeds of Crime Act and the Financial Investigations Division Act in conducting several types of investigations, particularly money laundering, cash seizure, civil recovery of property, and criminal forfeiture investigations. Currently, the division has a very large inventory of criminal and civil recovery cases. This is amounting to over 220 cases. The majority, 72%, are money laundering investigations which emanated from multiple sources, to include mainly the Jamaica Constabulary Force, MOCA, and overseas law enforcement agencies. There are approximately 40 active criminal forfeiture cases being handled by the division at this point in time. The division has seen improved collaboration with the Major Investigations Division and the Criminal Intelligence Investigation Branch of the Jamaica Constabulary Force in the investigation of homicide cases with suspected financial connections. Our team of forensic examiners and police officers have been able to secure the necessary financial evidence to support the case against the accused persons in these cases. The evidence includes the withdrawal of funds from a connected person's bank account which was allegedly used to pay a contracted killer, the disposal of real estate which allegedly occasioned the murder of a family member, and the confirmation of the receipt of alleged proceeds of lottery scamming which caused fatal conflict amongst persons. Now, there's generally a high level of compliance by financial institutions to the provisions of POCA. Currently, we are experiencing a compliance rate of approximately 90% or over 90%. Here to date, we have received over 50,000 suspicious transaction reports and large cash reports from these reporting entities. However, the division has initiated investigations on at least 6 institutions operating in the financial sector that are not in compliance with the law and whose operation may be used to facilitate money laundering. And we believe that a couple of these institutions will be prosecuted, or they will have to address from a standpoint of the fixed penalty regime which was included in the Proceeds of Crime Act in November 2019. The operational activities of the division since the commencement of the year reflect the magnitude of financial crimes confronting the country and the tangible efforts made by the division in combating this problem. Between January and October 2021, the division concluded investigations into 17 asset recovery matters involving criminal benefits or assets with accumulated value of 1.185 billion Jamaican dollars and just over US 182,000. This compares with 13 cases that were completed in 2020 with criminal assets or benefits amounting to 300 million and US 1.54 million. On an annualized basis, there has been an increase of over 50% in the number of investigations conducted into asset recovery and 130% increase in the value of criminal assets or benefit identified which are subject to confiscation or forfeiture order. Of the 17 cases completed thus far in 2021, 8 involved persons who were convicted for drug trafficking activities and 4 for lottery scamming activities. Now, the division has identified assets including real estate, motor vehicles, and bank accounts valued over 300 million and about US 54,000, which it will pursue to satisfy the formal orders as they are obtained from the Supreme Court. 5 formal orders were granted by the court in 2021, amounting to over 33 million. Now, since the beginning of the year, the division has restrained assets in excess of 334.5 million in furtherance of money laundering and asset recovery investigations. These include 5 houses, 6 motor vehicles, and 5 bank accounts. Currently, the division has forfeited assets being managed with a value of $1.273 billion. So these cases have been finalized by the court, and recovery stroke forfeiture orders have been obtained. They include 44 real estate, value over $1 billion, 19 motor vehicles valued approximately $10 million, 19 bank accounts containing $245.7 million Jamaican dollars, and other assets like jewelry, brand name bags, and so on, valued $2 million. We're about to place some of these assets, the real estate in particular, on the market so we can dispose of them in order for the country to make better use of the funds that are derived from these criminal assets. In regards to criminal investigations, as of October 2021, 32 persons have been charged with over 230 counts of money laundering offenses. This represents a 28% increase when compared with the achievement of 25 for 2020. So what we are witnessing now, based on our strategic efforts, is for external law enforcement bodies to utilize the Proceeds of Crime Act and lay money laundering charges. And for this year, we are seeing that occurring not just from JCF's standpoint, but our sister organization, MOCA, who just last month laid a total of 6 money laundering charges in a case that they have investigated. Now, in furtherance of money laundering and asset forfeiture investigations, 79 investigative orders obtained from the court were served on commercial banks and other financial institutions, and these are based on investigations that we are conducting against targets of our cases. The division was able to achieve these results operating with about 2/3 of our capacity in its police and financial forensics unit. Plans are afoot to urgently recruit other police officers and forensic accountants to ensure there is adequate capacity to effectively investigate and prosecute money laundering offenses and deprive criminals of their illicit wealth. Our team of professionals are highly trained, motivated, and empowered under the law to undertake the most complex, high-impact financial crimes investigations. However, for the division to remain effective, we encourage and welcome the cooperation of persons operating in the financial sector, other law enforcement bodies, and all law-abiding citizens in Jamaica. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Keith. A lot to digest there, lots of numbers, lots of work being done, lots of results being realized, and I'm pretty sure the FID will share all these results as well through other means. While we also encourage you to follow the FID and to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching right now on the YouTube channel, just search, well, of course you're watching now, so you'd know, but for others of you, if you're watching via our Facebook page, just search for FID Jamaica. And for those of you elsewhere, you can always find us on Facebook at facebook.com/FID Jamaica. In fact, FID Jamaica is the handle for the FID across a multiplicity of platforms. So that's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's Twitter, and soon to be, of course, right here on YouTube. Now, we've heard from our panelists seated here at the FID's headquarters. Let us now turn our attention to those further afield, our colleagues from the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, MOCA. We'll hear from the Director General, Colonel Desmond Edwards.
The major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, MOCA, welcomes the celebration of the National Anti-Money Laundering Day 2021 under the theme, Taking Action Against Money Laundering. This theme is well in line with MOCA's mandate to investigate and bring to the fore credible cases targeting those involved in money laundering. To this end, our financial crimes investigation team, supported by our intelligence analysts, cyber forensics, and legal experts, have led us to several successful prosecutions and many cases which are presently before the courts. Economic and financial crimes have evolved a great deal in the last decade, with a great number of crimes being perpetrated or facilitated through cyberspace. Cyber-enabled criminal enterprises are fast becoming a dominant crime trend. And specific to money laundering, we see the advent of cryptocurrency figuring significantly in the laundering of illicit proceeds of crime. Given these realities, it is important, therefore, that our ability to tackle these evolving trends must also keep pace with the times. In light of these demands, MOCA has worked steadfastly to develop its cyber security and cyber forensic capabilities in order to better position the organization to address the changing crime environment. Partnerships are key to tackling all sorts of major organized crime. Both MOCA and FID have worked in close partnership to ensure that our organizations not only stay abreast of financial crimes, but also continually improve our capabilities by working closely with other local, regional, and international partners. We learn from each other and engage our teams on specialist financial and cyber training programs. A number of these training courses are developed and delivered in Jamaica in concert with partners such as the Jamaica Constabulary Force. It is only through the continuation of these collaborative endeavors that we will ultimately develop the competence and capacity to address the problems meaningfully. MOCA's relationship with the FID also extends to our collaboration on the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force. This task force is charged with developing a common approach to addressing the laundering of the proceeds of crime. It is also responsible for monitoring compliance to the implementation of the anti-money laundering countermeasures. As we continue to fight against organized crime and money laundering, it is vital that we maintain the trust and confidence of the community from which we will always seek support and information. It is imperative, therefore, that we collectively take action so that we can create an environment that is free from the scourge of money laundering and organized criminality. Thank you.
We thank Colonel Desmond Edwards very much for his contribution, and of course, I think I speak on behalf of everyone here at the panel, that we are excited at the prospect of MOCA building its capacity and collaborating a lot more with us as we go forward in our AML CFT regime. Now we'll hear from our partners at the Bank of Jamaica, this time through their Senior Deputy Governor, Dr. Wayne Robinson.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Greetings from Bank of Jamaica on this National Anti-Money Laundering Day. Bank of Jamaica is proud to be a part of a thrust to protect the domestic and global financial system against money laundering and terrorist financing. We all know that money laundering and the financing of terrorism will undermine the integrity of our financial system, our economy, and our democracy. The importance of combating money laundering and the financing of terrorism, therefore, cannot be overstated. And in this vein, we have to safeguard a key pillar of our society. That is the financial system, which includes banks, building societies, credit unions, remittance companies, cambios, and micro-lending agencies. We all have a role to play in combating money laundering. The COVID-19 pandemic has radically changed our lives and how we do business, and we have been forced to adapt. The financial criminals across the globe have no doubt adopted too, as the shift to digital services provide additional opportunities to exploit. Members of the public, therefore, need to be aware of the risk and the regulations that the authorities have put in place to protect them and the financial system as a whole. The evolving landscape calls for all of us to be vigilant, to quickly identify suspicious transactions and behaviors, and to be cautious in our business and financial dealings. I must therefore commend the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force on their digital campaign, Taking Action Against Money Laundering, and as well the Financial Investigations Division of the Ministry of Finance on their public education campaign, POCA and You. Today, which is designated as National Anti-Money Laundering Day, is therefore an important day, not just as a reminder of the issue, but also a call to renewed action. Jamaica has made great strides in insulating our financial system. As regulators, Bank of Jamaica, in collaboration with partners and stakeholders, will therefore continue to effectively implement the relevant laws, and we will remain vigilant so as to protect and promote the integrity and stability of our financial system. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
And we also say a great thank you to the Bank of Jamaica and certainly to Dr. Wayne Robinson for his presentation just now. And in Dr. Robinson's presentation, he referenced the campaign that we are going to roll out come mid-November called POCA and You. And I just want to share some details about that campaign and a bit of what to expect. So the background is that the Proceeds of Crime Act is a legislation which first came into being in 2007 and was most recently amended in 2019. Now, many Jamaicans, including some law enforcement functionaries, are not always fully au fait with the legislation. And the CTD spoke to increasing training of officers in the JCF and also introducing the Proceeds of Crime Act as a part of the curriculum at the Jamaica Police College. So what we can expect as we move forward is to see more financial investigators in the JCF as well as more officers being fully apprised of POCA and using it, because it's so easy for the average Jamaican, for almost every Jamaican to be honest, to be in breach of POCA without realizing it, right? And it is very important for us all to understand that POCA and how it works and what we need to do to stay on the right side of the law. So on the part of the citizenry, the ignorance of POCA is demonstrated in their attitudes when they are charged for breaches of the Act. We hope to arrest that problem, pardon the pun, but we hope to arrest that problem through the POCA and You campaign. So its objectives are, one, to ascertain the public's level of awareness and knowledge of POCA and the FID, and that will be done via public polls. So listen out, we might be calling on you to answer a few questions, but also we are going to be delivering a public education campaign to target persons who are most vulnerable to breaching POCA and also their families, and generally to increase the public's level of awareness of POCA and the FID. Now, the messages that we're sharing are, one, that POCA is a legislative scheme for the recovery of criminal assets. Also, that citizens, we all have a responsibility. Citizens should shun persons who seek to share criminal property with them, and it seems so easy sometimes. Citizens should also ensure that any property which they're asked to hold, use, or otherwise interact with was not derived from criminal activities or criminal conduct. And also, a reminder to the public that the FID, the Financial Investigations Division, a division in the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, is a trustworthy partner to investigate breaches of POCA. I made mention of the audience. So to whom will we speak, right? Now, we aim to reach 1 million Jamaicans over the period I mentioned, mid-November through to the end of February 2022. Now, while there's no obvious trend in ages of adults convicted under POCA, one notable exception is in lottery scamming activities, and most of those perpetrators tend to be males in their 20s. So, with that said, the target of the POCA and You campaign are as follows. Primarily, teenagers aged 14 to 19. We start the conversation while they're in school and awaken their awareness to the existence of POCA and the FID. The secondary target, men aged 20 to 21, raising POCA awareness at a stage where men should be productively engaged in academic or professional pursuits, is crucial in informing their decision on whether to avoid a criminal lifestyle. And also the tertiary target, parents aged 30 to 40. These are generally the parents of adolescent children. This is an important phase to discuss POCA with them and to provide guidance about making a choice to avoid a criminal lifestyle, right? And I could go on a little bit because the campaign will have as a part of it very strong digital presence. So you will be able to see the campaign at work on Twitter, on Instagram, right here on YouTube, and also on Facebook. We have commissioned the production of a film using all local talent and a local production house and director to deliver the message in a more powerful way. So it can be illustrated on screen for you to understand what can happen and how easily you can fall in breach of POCA. What we hope to also do is work with the Ministry of Education and other government agencies and ministries so that we can really get the message into every nook and cranny of the country. We want parents to be raising questions and having discussions with their children. We want young men, young women who can easily fall prey to breaching POCA to start rethinking their approach to life, to start approaching life from a more responsible and law-abiding perspective. So ladies and gentlemen, be on the lookout. Watch for the hashtag POCA and You as the FID executes its campaign. So, because hear what happened. What we really want is to have a country where we have more persons on the right side of the law and to reduce the workload that Keith and Gary and Selvin have to endure, right? Because the more we remain in the right, yes, the more we are productively engaged, we can make Jamaica a better place. So we'll be just taking a quick glance into our comment section to see if there are any questions. But we would also want to advise that I know that many of you, particularly our media colleagues, may have other questions about other matters. And we invite you to reach out to the FID via email, via phone. We're easy to find on social media as well. Get in touch with us so we can address those other matters. Today's press briefing is really targeting what's happening on Anti-Money Laundering Day and also to make the announcement of what we're going to do with the public education campaign. So I'm gathering from my tech team that there are no real questions. Are we seeing any questions there? I think, gentlemen, that we've done our job, right? But we encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, yes? If you're watching on Facebook, please ensure that you follow the FID's page, all right? And until the next time, please take care of yourselves, stay safe, wear your mask, get vaccinated, and let's get back to life. On behalf of the panel here and the FID in general, We thank you sincerely for watching online, and we invite you, as usual, to stay in touch with us. Until then, do take care.